Our guests in this segment, Matt Mullenax and Nick Diehl, as we're talking public transit. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you both?
Good. How you doing?
Good to have you here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
And a couple of things here first. Matt, you're with the Hagerstown Eastern Panhandle Metropolitan Transit Organization. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, 5 out of 6. So just switch planning for transit. Everything else is good.
Yeah. Can you fit all that on one business card?
No.
It's a challenge.
Continue on next card. And Nick, you're on the board of the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority.
Yes, I'm the board chair.
And you work at the airport.
Eastern West Virginia Regional Airport Authority at Shepherd Field.
You're a busy man.
Can you fit all that on one card?
MRB.
What is the status of the charter school at the airport, Nick? I got a bit of an update last week, but what do you have?
So we've got what we've got is we've diverted from that for temporarily. We're still considering that, but we do have. Shepherd University has always had an aviation-related program associated with the airport. Marshall University is now there with a flight school and their aviation program, offering a bachelor's degree in aviation and a commercial pilot's license. And we also have Blue Ridge Community Technical College that will be there hopefully this coming fall or shortly thereafter, offering an aircraft maintenance program. So we think all three of those are big hits at the airport.
Very good. Are you, either of you, affected by any federal freezes in funding at this time? Matt, you first?
Not at this time. We'll see. I understand that there were some potential pauses and there's some pending court cases and discussions about OMB's directives and what we're seeing from new USDOT Secretary Duffy, but at this time, we're continuing on operations as normal.
Nick, same story.
Yeah, same story. We're Transit Authority. We've got, we're waiting right now. Nothing has interfered with anything we're doing at the moment. Airport Authority. We've got a project underway that hopefully will not be affected by any of that.
What is your project?
We are doing we're reworking our taxiway Echo. To take larger aircraft and to give us a little more surface area and make it a little heavier so it can accept heavier aircraft as well, and extending it down to the far end of the runway.
I want to get into the extensive survey that you folks did in a moment. First, I want to get an update on the transition to the new facilities and how that construction is going.
Well, we do have a bit of a holdup at the moment. We've got city engineering is reviewing some things, and we have every hope that they'll get us on track here very, very shortly, so that we can start moving some dirt and get this thing built. So we're right now we're on hold waiting for them, but we're hoping to be moving again in the next few days.
Have you had to move your expected time of completion date forward?
We likely will by the time all this is over. For that and for other reasons, I'm sure there'll be something unexpected that holds us up a bit. So
it will line up now, though, well with EPTA's 50th anniversary, which will come in 2026. So that's fine. Okay. all the more opportunity to celebrate.
Matt, let's talk about this survey here, an extensive survey with over 150 people taking this a 30-question survey.
Absolutely. Before we go too far, though, I did get to attend Mario Lemieux's comeback game at Old Mellon Arena. So I was awesome. There. He got one of the 3 stars. Yager got one of the 3 stars. They demolished Curtis Joseph, right, who was on the Maple Leafs. And I could have scalped about $500 for that ticket, and I said not a chance.
I bet.
So it was. I thought that place was going to pull itself apart. It was awesome.
Marvelous game to watch on TV. I can't imagine being in the arena for that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so the survey was done this past fall. I know when we had a chance to come on your show at that time, we worked through the questions. We talked about the information we're trying to get from riders and non-riders alike. And so now we do have the results. We had 166 folks complete the survey, about split evenly between riders and non-riders. And so we're now in the process of using that information to consider how routes might be redone at EPTA, as well as new locations, service changes, time changes, things of that nature. And this is all part of updating EPTA's 5-year transit development plan. So typically every 5 years that's updated. we did this last during COVID, which was certainly a challenge. But
Sure.
we have a lot of great information. We thank everyone that took the survey, all the folks that helped get the word out, and now we're going to use that to help bolster where EPTA's headed in the future.
What did you ask? What did you find out, Matt?
Mercy. Yeah, so it was a 30-question survey, which is daunting. All the questions are excellent questions, but I don't begrudge anyone who was like, I might not have enough time to complete this during my ride. But so we asked about information about demographics, travel behavior, trip characteristics, feedback folks had from the existing service. And then we just had kind of, a lot of the questions were open-ended or had open-ended sections. So if somebody felt the response they wanted to give didn't meet what was on the survey, they could add whatever they would like at any time. And so I have the summary sheet, so maybe I'll hit on a couple of the high notes and we can go from there.
Please do.
Yeah. So for the demographics, the key takeaways for the survey was that most of the existing riders that use EPTA generally do not have a driver's license, and only 13% of those who took the survey have more than one vehicle. So these are folks that need transit, they depend on transit. It helps them get to where they need to go for business, for doctor's visits, or where they need to go for shopping. There was an income gap between riders and non-riders. Again, so folks maybe saw the survey who don't use EPTA at all versus ones who ride the bus and got a hard copy survey. So the income gap, about 55% of the riders earn less than $20,000, while over 60% of the non-riders earn more than $80,000. So it is interesting to juxtapose those two groups with how the system is being used in the day-to-day, and then maybe what barriers for non-riders might exist or how they perceive the system from the outside. There's a good mix of new riders and old riders. So 55% say they've been taking the bus for more than 5 years, while 45% have just started. Which is great. It's interesting that most folks who ride the bus, when they want to get information, they either call EPTA directly on the phone, check their website, or they talk to the drivers. And the drivers are one, if not the backbone of EPTA's system. So somewhere on here, it's over in the back, it talks about the service feedback. So the highest rated component of EPTA's system was driver courtesy. So the drivers are the folks that the riders know. They're the ones that they trust, right? They look out for each other. That's their source of information. That's how they interface with EPTA, probably for the first and last part of their riding day and for their trip as well. So lots of good information. And then, all about service. So could service be extended to Spring Mills? Could service be extended to Shepherdstown? Could some of the existing routes be pushed later into the evening versus transitioning? So you might see, like, when you're out in town, say at lunchtime on Foxcroft Avenue, you might see a EPTA bus that has like a 10 or a 14. And then if you go out in the evening, you go to dinner or whatever, you might see those numbers suddenly are like a 35 or a 45 or something like that. And so it has to do with how the service is modified in the evening, but it can generate confusion because folks are like, wait a minute, is that different route? Is that the same bus? Is that going to Walmart? Is that going to Foxcroft or to Target or the Commons? And so those are some of the comments that we've heard.
And I'm looking at the survey. I see that 17% of the riders didn't pay to ride. Is that something? Is there a program? Is that something they have to apply for ahead of time? And how do they do that? Because I think there might be people who want to use EPTA and just don't know that there is a program where they don't have to pay.
Yeah, some of the program, like Get a Job, Get a Ride, right? That's one of the programs. I want to say, is it 10 passes? So it's a free workforce program that if you
nice. Right,
you come in. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you get a job and you need to get transportation there, then first month is on us.
Oh, I love that. And I tell you, the people at Workforce are amazing. We do a lot with them, and they really help people with jobs and figuring stuff out, resumes and everything. But that is great. They get the first month. They can just get to work while they're waiting to get a paycheck.
How do you arrange that, Nick?
Once they get hired, they will they will show us their hire letter, and we'll give them some passes to get them through that first.
Hired by anybody?
Yeah.
Do they just show it to the bus driver, or do they have to go to the office?
They need to call in. If they we will work with them. So if they do show it to a bus driver, the bus driver will say, "Okay, hop on, but we need to we need to take care of this so we could get you a monthly pass."
And the bus driver giving them a free ride, that probably helps the survey.
Yeah, it probably does. It's like that free beer. Huh?
Wow, there's a lot of 5-star. No.
Giving out free beer on the buses too. Everyone's riding the bus.
Hey, everybody's happy.
Driver, bartender, they're all words.
Tip jar.
Yeah, tip jar.
I think you're thinking of buses in Nashville for bachelorette parties, but continue.
Maybe get into that line of work too. I don't know.
There you go.
There's a statistic here that surprises me. 3/4 of respondents were picked up at their home, and 2/3 of respondents were dropped off at their destination. So you don't. There aren't bus stops. You can call, and the bus will come to your house.
Yes, so there are fixed. We would call the fixed route is probably when you see the cutaway buses, right? There are fixed stops, but also two things is that EPTA operates a flag stop system. So if you walk out of your house, and even if a bus stop is say a quarter mile that way, if the bus is coming by, you wave your hand out, you flag them down, you can hop on. The second is that as part of operating a fixed route system, I want to say you can deviate with up to, I want to say 3/4 of a mile from an existing route to pick someone up, as long as everything can be arranged ahead of time. So that's how folks can get so close to the bus, or the bus can get so close to them to pick them up. And
how much does a ride cost? Is it fixed cost, or is it per mile, per?
So there is a minimum and a maximum. It depends on EPTA's transit system is broken up into geographic zones, and so if you cross so many zones, right, the cost goes up. But I believe actually that's in here as well. So I think the average ride was like $1.25 or $1
like that. $1.50 or something like that.
Yeah, and then the most I think someone spent was $2.50. Although I think someone may have misread the survey and said that one ride cost them $157, which I don't think. I don't think that's
Monthly pass, maybe?
Well,
Yeah.
Kansas City is nice. So
Just kept on driving.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And we actually have stops at several of the large businesses in town, and so that might be why so many of them are getting dropped off at their job.
Well, there's a graph here that says 17% paid nothing, 26% paid $1, 7% $1.25, 17% $2, 5% $2.50, and 28% $4 or more, which I presume would be the longer route.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
well, one of the concerns with like the Hope Scholarship Program has been the transportation to get the kids to these schools that are out of their district. Are people using EPTA to get to schools? Is that a viable option for some of the? Do we see that?
I guess it could be. I don't know that it's seen right now.
Yeah, we see some of that going to colleges and schools of higher ed. A lot of people are taking the bus to and from those, and we actually have a route at Shepherd University. But it's something that could happen. We're not seeing as much of it as you do, say, in a big city. I know if any of you have ever ridden a bus in New York or D.C., there's a lot of kids on the bus in the mornings just getting to and from school.
Well, in D.C., when I worked in D.C., I was a metro rider, not a bus rider. And one of the big concerns, the complaints of the bus riders, was having to wait, particularly on really nasty days, waiting for 5 or 6 buses to go by that were completely packed because, waiting for the next one to come by. I presume that's not a big problem here with...
No, I mean, typically there's somewhere between a quarter to 3/4 capacity. That'd be a nice problem to have, right?
Yeah, it would be a very nice problem to have.
But like Nick said, there are stops at Procter & Gamble, FedEx, Quad, out to the VA, and points kind of all over Berkeley and Jefferson County.
Is this a subsidized program or is it self-sustaining?
I don't think
any public transit is self-sustaining.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any public transit system that's self-sustaining. Yes, we are heavily subsidized, which is certainly a funding issue. It's a concern for us because we are a small urban as opposed to a rural service like most bus services in West Virginia, and so the state doesn't really do anything to help us. It's the feds. So the feds provide funding for that. They will do that until we reach a population in our service area of over 200,000, which is going to happen in the 2030 census. And so that's a concern for us as well, because then the feds say that the counties and the municipalities should be supporting public transportation service. And so it's tough because our counties and municipalities do all they can, but they have constraints as well. And so I'm not sure what's going to happen. That'll happen after my time, but it'll definitely happen at some point.
That'll be during my time, so I'll come back and we'll try to figure that out. But yeah, to Nick's point, so typically for a small urban, the federal to local match is 50-50 for operating and 80-20 for capital. And so, as Nick said, when you cross that threshold for your urban area population, all the federal money for operating goes away. Capital still remains, at least right now, but yeah, so operating costs are completely absolved by the authority.
What's your ridership on a daily or monthly basis, whatever way you survey it?
That, unless Matt knows, that's more of an Elaine question. I can tell you that our last year's ridership was 265,000 people, which is higher than it's ever been.
That's what is that? 500 a week?
Man, my math's not quite that good this early in the morning, Rob.
Yeah. So 52 weeks, 265,000.
Yeah.
About 500 a week. What percentage of the buses are filled regularly? Or what percentage of capacity? Any idea?
Depends on the time of day. In the mornings, in the evenings, or when people are getting on and off work, they're usually packed. About, I think you might have seen the survey that like 40% of our riders are actually going to and from work.
42%,
which is significantly higher than this was a decade ago. We've been working on this for that long, trying to make sure people understood that you can take the bus to and from work and it'll be there on time.
How is EPTA as far as handicapped accessibility?
Every bus is handicapped accessible.
Okay, I thought so, but I just want to make sure.
Yep, ramps, and they can kneel down. They have some buses that can kneel down, some that come out flush to the curb or the sidewalk, and yep, they come right on there. Everybody's trained. If you go out to EPTA's, their current facility in the break room is where you can train how wheelchairs are brought on, how they're secured, and they're able to move on the bus itself. So
42% of riders use the bus for work. 19% for shopping, 14% for medical appointments, including dental, 13% for personal business, 6% for school, and 6% for social or recreational purposes. That's the breakdown of the ridership in terms of the purpose of riding. And in terms of how you're doing, 97% say you're getting better or staying about the same. Only 3% say you're getting worse. And while we're rating drivers on a scale of 1 to 5, yours top all the survey items at 4.64. That's the thing that people approve of the best. And all of your ratings are at least a 3.91 out of 5 or better. So nothing terrible there. Bus frequency and hours of operation are the lowest of those two, and those are at 3.97 for bus frequency, which is how long you have to wait for a bus, and 3.91 for hours of operation. Places served, 3.97, so that's getting better too. I know that was a complaint some time ago, so you've added some stops.
Yeah, we've worked very hard to be able to expand our routes. There are places that we go now that we couldn't go even 2 or 3 years ago, and we're looking at another expansion. So,
if you or when you grow to over 200,000 and you lose part or all of your federal funding, how much money would you need from the state and the county to make that up in today's dollars if you lost all your federal funding?
I would have to do the math on that, but it's going to be a lot. It's a big
million dollars?
Yeah, maybe.
What is the overall operating budget of EPTA?
Our operating budget right now is what?
Is that more of a Elaine question?
That's definitely an Elaine question.
Yes.
She can tell you to the penny.
Yeah, Elaine's illin'. She was supposed to be here.
I know. I apologize.
She got
I'm
the
second
bug.
choice.
There are so many people who get to go to work. and
Next
get
man
a
up,
chance
right?
because-
That's right.
Yes. There's so many
Was
people
that
that
John?
get to go to work and get a chance because we do have public transportation.
Yeah, without public transportation, I don't know that a lot of our large industrial businesses could sustain the workforce that they do.
It's one of the big things that site selectors look for, right? They want to
Exactly.
say, is public transit here? Is public transit accessible? Could it come out? I know that was a big factor with P&G
Yeah,
was
as a matter of-
scoping sites.
I happened to be with the West Virginia Department of Commerce with the development office back when they came here, and that was one of their first questions: how close is public transportation?
And you guys, of course, said, we'll bring it to the door if you guys put the plan here.
What do you want?
Wherever you guys put your spot, that's where public transportation is going.
That's right. They actually built a very nice bus stop for us. So.
That's
Nice.
nice. You guys in Blue Ridge, those are two big points in regards to
Yep.
recruiting businesses, I guess, right?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Guys, thanks for coming in. Much appreciated. Where can people go to find this survey? Is it publicly posted?
We have not posted the information yet, but it will be coming out with the draft transit development plan. We're going to have public meetings this coming spring. It'll be up on EPTA's website as soon as it's published.
Right.
EPTAWV.com. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Matt and Nick, thanks for coming in.
Thanks very much
for having us.